Hey, welcome to another episode of the Black Guy Who Tells Podcast. I'm your host, Rod. Joined as always on my co-host,
Karen.
and we're live on a Tuesday. Doing the show a little early because it's not gonna be long. And we're going to the Hornets game, so it's like
that's why I was surprised.
Karen was surprised, y'all. She was shocked.
Okay,
Yes,
I was.
And she doesn't even know what this episode's about.
Nope.
This might be one of the pettiest episodes we've ever done.
Oh shit! Now do I need to get in my petty bag? What's happening?
So we got this email, and normally I wait till feedback time, but sometimes the stuff you deal with, putting your opinion out in the world, it's really fucking crazy. And we got this email, and I don't think the person is necessarily being mean, but it's this weird level of like gaslighting. It bothered the hell out of me, and I said, you know what? Why wait till Saturday? It don't take long to clear this up. We can get to the truth of the matter today.
Okay. See, I don't know, because I was like, you know what? I'm gonna get off work. You know what I mean? Gonna go to the Hornets game. Roger was like, let's do the show. I was like, oh, okay, I guess.
All right. Put the battery in my back. So this is from Julie. I won't give her full name because I feel like you'll see later from the email, but this is the kind of person that will definitely, even with this episode, is going to twist things that we say and try to act like we went super bananas and attacked and shit when we didn't. But here's the headline. I really love your podcast and generally agree with most of what you, and then that's the title, but I assume there's a hidden but that was coming and it just didn't get typed in the title. I do have to say, enjoy your perspective. However, I often bristle at how easy it seems to be to attack people who are older, who make commentary on millennials or whomever they are. I am working a full-time 60-hour week job at the age of 65 because I have to, because in 2008, everything I worked for was destroyed. And I'm still trying to, quote, build back better. How about everybody? I have a little empathy and realize that shit is hard for everybody out here. Yeah, I know boomers are assholes and entitled, et cetera, et cetera. I guess millennials are not. I just want people to know these are words that didn't come out of our mouths. And I'm sorry that you lost everything in 2008 and have to continue to work at 65. Whether it was the subprime mortgage situation, which we brought up on the show yesterday, or at least I did for sure. Whatever people have had to deal with, life ain't fair and life is hard for everybody. But we got to keep it in the context of what we're talking about. We're talking about comments from Whoopi Goldberg.
Right, from Whoopi.
An older woman who called millennials lazy and entitled and all this shit. So this is not us just talking about older people.
Right.
We didn't just go, oh, okay, boomer. We don't say stuff like that on our show. You know what you've never heard on this show? Us make fun of Joe Biden's age.
No.
And I'm not saying it because I'm such a good person. The truth of the matter is, I don't say it because I think it's hack. I think I'm above that. I think my jokes are funnier than people that just go, Joe Biden's old. I feel like every fucking stage comic, every road and street comic can do that. The other day I was getting DMs from a friend, mutual friend of the show and stuff, and he was doing these Joe Biden old jokes, and I was like, yeah, it's just that you better than this. So I can't give you a cursory laugh at this shit because I will just be making you worse. So I'm not going to do that for you. But yeah, she, we've also talked about Whoopi on here when she talked about how people mocked her clothing in 1993 and how that affected the way that she dressed and felt to this day. So this isn't us coming out of nowhere doing we hate old people stuff. That's ridiculous. But let me finish your email. Sorry that I had to do this, but you didn't have to, but okay. But it just really infuriates me. The lack of empathy towards people who are over the age of 55 is simply staggering to me. On this podcast? That's wild to me that you feel that way from what we say, because I feel like we are pretty fucking fair. You know what I mean? Especially when we talk about stuff like voting and stuff. When I talk about how my parents knew before I knew Joe Biden was going to win, and they were right. Stuff like that. This ain't a show of us. I'm 45. I'm not cool. Like, not a cool person. I'm not like a man, them old people, man. You know, Karen is the oldest soul you ever gonna meet.
And I have a question. I guess my thing, what are you hearing? Because you're saying we're saying things that we are not saying. So are there people, places, and things? Are you online? Are you hearing these things and you taking these things, you amplifying?
What are you hearing? Because
we're not saying
you wrote us. You didn't write the internet. You wrote us like we said these things. I've never said this shit in my motherfucking life.
We do not bash people because we make jokes and things like that, but we make jokes on everybody. But
yesterday, when we were talking about Whoopi, we weren't making jokes about people being old, period.
No.
It appears that you want us all to just shut up or die, or possibly both. We're still here, though. We're still working. We're still doing the things we need to do, and we are still trying to survive. We have never said that shit.
No, this is not for us.
And many of us are 65, are taking care of our parents who are in their 90s. A lot of fun, trust me. Love the show. I've been supporting monthly for 10 years. All the best, Julie. Julie, I hate to tell you this, but you lying on us, and I don't appreciate it.
We never said anything.
Your feelings don't get to be my reality. You understand what I'm saying? Because you feel a way doesn't change what we said yesterday. I stand by everything we said. I stand by it so much, in fact. That's why we're doing this show today. Because I said, fuck it. Let's listen to what we said. Maybe I'm tripping. Maybe we said that shit. I forgot that we said that shit. It was just yesterday. Who knows? But let's go see how uncharitable we were to Whoopi Goldberg. The episode was 2803, Achievement Unlocked. That's for suggesting they have poor work. And it's the part we were at was 35 minutes, 34 seconds. Oh yeah. I went and looked it up. Let's listen to it again. Let's see how, we probably only talk like 10, 20 minutes about this. We'll pause it and interject our commentary, but I'm going to hit play right now. Here we go.
Authorized to be on the app, and like somebody else
doesn't come that fast. A little bit of Salat doesn't come that fast, and it's because you've never. There we go. Salat ever wonder why it's an hour late? You know what I mean? So I don't know, man. That's us talking about DoorDash. All right, we're coming up to it about 7 seconds. All right, another thing. Whoopi Goldberg, problematic fave. Show why she's problematic today. Problematic fave. Do you know what that mean? That mean I love Whoopi. She say wild shit from time to time. She justifies her ex wearing blackface. She, has said some stuff on The View. You know, she's defended rape. Literally said it wasn't rape. You know, she said some anti-Semitic stuff, got taken off the air. Whoopi Goldberg reminds me of a lot of people, like black women that I love in my family, in my friend circle, where she ain't always right.
Nope.
And I'm never going to sacrifice my morals and side and be like, well, she's right because I like her. Sometimes she's right. And to be honest, I still end up liking her because sometimes she says the thing that's tough to say. And I'm like, I agree with that. And I know only she would say that. But sometimes that means she says the thing that's tough to say because it's wrong and nobody should be saying it. But back to, I'm going to hit play again. Here we go. She criticized millennials again after receiving backlash for suggesting they have poor work ethic. If you want a house, you can't work a 4-day work week. So last Thursday, she mentioned that she had drawn complaints from millennials from her earlier remarks criticizing their work ethic. Women, when we were kids, there was a standard women had to follow. You were a parent, you became a parent, and you worked. I never knew women who did not work. That's why I have an interesting time when we talk about millennials. They're very pissed at me right now, the young people. Young people need to know it's hard. It's always been hard. It will always be hard. That's the nature of moving forward. You're always moving through something. You're always trying to get where you need to be. I just want you to be realistic and understand if you want a house, you can't work a 4-day work week. You have to work longer than that. If you're not aware, during Wednesday's episode of The View, the co-host engaged in a discussion about the reasons why millennials are postponing parenthood. I'm sorry, every generation comes and wants to do better than their parents did, but I'm sorry if you only want to work 4 hours, it's going to be harder for you to get a house. I feel for everybody that feels this, but I'm sorry. We busted our behinds. We had to bust our behinds because we didn't have the option of going back. We had all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, this sounds like somebody's
Now, Karen's about to go into the commentary from yesterday, but I'm pausing it right here just to say that was the setup of what she said. Let's talk about what she said again real quick. She's saying millennials work 4 hours a day. She's saying they have no work ethic. She's calling them lazy. She's inferring they're entitled. She's saying they just want it easy. Now, why is it not okay? It's okay for her to slander that whole swath of people,
right?
Without a single statistic to back it up. Because what you will find, the reality is, it's not just you working 60 hours a week at 65. It's not just you that's going through that. The younger generations are working more hours. They're having to have more jobs. They're getting less of their insurance, and things cost more. So at no point did we call this woman out her name. At no point were we talking about how old she is and laughing about it. We treated this with the seriousness that it deserves, and we weren't being antagonistic or inflammatory. I really resent your email writing up here as if we were. That's ridiculous to me. And I will not be gaslit by anybody. Just because you have a feeling because your life is going a certain way, you don't like that? I hate that for you.
Me too. I have compassion. Like, I don't want anybody to have to work like that.
But you don't get to come up here and lie. I don't care if you're older than me. Okay, my mama listens to this show. She don't write up here with no lies. I've never came down the house and she's like, that's messed up. Y'all said blank and there's some shit we didn't say. Now, if you were in your feelings, you were in your feelings. Everybody has those moments, but I just want to point out what Whoopi said was something that is offensive to a lot of people and should be.
Yes.
And for you to be offended at what we said about her saying that is crazy. It reminds me of when certain people will do stuff fucked up to you, and then when you say something back, they go, but my feelings. It's like, whoa. The feelings didn't matter until they were yours. That ain't fair. That ain't right. But like I said, I'll go back to Karen from yesterday.
Completely out of touch of what the millennials are actually dealing with. Like the shit when you was a younger, that shit is quadruple in price. It ain't the fucking same. You are talking about people that have went to school, got a job, and their job is not promising what they were promised. You have people that are graduating with $100-something, $250, $500,000, sometimes more in fucking student loan debt. You have people, you have a whole generation that were promised some of the things that you had. They were promised these things, they don't. You have a system that that has changed. Years ago, I had a Pell Grant. Years ago, the Pell Grant covered like up to 80, almost all of your student loan. Means almost all of your tuition. Now, you know how much it pays? About 25%. Is a big motherfucking difference. So, you're talking to a generation that is strapped with a whole lot of motherfucking debt. They're goddamn drowning in it. And it's very insulting to them from their perspective, some old fuddy-duddy who has not experienced that, to turn around and tell them that they're goddamn lazy. You talk about the generation that's the side hustle generation. You talk about the generation that works 2 and 3 jobs. You talk about the generation that works 40 hours a week. They DoorDash. They turn around. They Grubhub. They turn around. They Uber Eats. They turn around. Any spare time they got, they motherfucking hustling for something. You talk about every time you turn around, a whole generation now. Oh, motherfucking, you don't have anything. You get to the point where everything is, how can I make more money? How can I make more money? They literally are stressing themselves to death, trying to make money, trying to make ends meet. You can't get a house. If you get a house, guess what? You got to have motherfucking roommates now. It ain't like it used to be. I can't just go get something by myself. You have a whole generation now who got to stay at home with their parents and be on their insurance till they're motherfucking 30 almost. It's not a choice. You got a generation, they have to delay this because you know what? Now I have $50,000 worth of debt. Guess what I don't want? To bring children into this. Guess what I don't want? To have a mate and strap them with my debt. Guess what? I'm feeling inadequate. So it's one of those things where you don't know what you're talking about in this particular situation, blaming the children on something that's beyond their control. This is something that, this is what's generation now, they're inheriting our problems. our problems that we didn't address and we thought was a joke and the government poo-pooed on them and didn't.
Now, I just want to stop it right here. You hear our Karen saying we, our? She's not saying Whoopi Goldberg, you old bitch. She's saying our generation is included in the older generation. We're older than millennials. And the stuff we kick down the can, the stuff like climate change, debt limits, and warmongering and shit. These are chickens coming home to roost that we're the ones that kick the chickens out the coop. We the ones watching the chickens come back, be like, damn, them is our chickens. But guess who got to pay for them? The millennials do. Right. And I stand by every word Karen just said. Now, was Karen cussing a lot? Yes. But we always cuss a lot. So this isn't like, oh, I'm cussing at Whoopi Goldberg. Karen talks like that whenever the fuck we're talking. So once again, I don't know where this extra sensitivity is coming from, but it's not because we changed up. That's a very rational, reasonable thing that Karen said. The Pell Grant point is so fucking good because Karen's telling you, I had a Pell Grant. 80% of my tuition was taken care of. These kids, if they get the same Pell Grant, that's 25% of their tuition, strapping them with debt for life. You can't ignore that and be like, but my feelings as an older person. So what? What about their feelings? You're not, you can't benefit from privilege. It just feels like when white people say, well, you're pointing out that, listen, I'm a white person. I didn't have it all good. I had to work for what I got. And it's like, yes, and you still had privilege. So in this case, yes, us benefiting from the government and society fulfilling certain promises that they used to promote as the American way, we benefited in some ways that these kids are not benefiting from anymore. And I say kids, but millennials aren't even really kids. Mm-hmm. They're like 40, some of them. So you're talking about people that aren't having kids, and we're talking statistically, macro, not micro, not anecdotal, not your feelings. I'm talking facts. We know statistically they're not having kids. They're not buying homes. And you go, well, instead of having a statistical, factual discussion, here we go, turning everything into culture. Do you want it enough? Well, they must not want to work hard. Is that what you really think? None of these kids want to work hard. That's why they don't have a house.
Yeah, that's avocado toast used to be a running joke.
Yeah. And so if you hear some intensity on our part coming back, it's because what we heard was stupidity. And I'm going to always push back on stupidity. I don't care if Whoopi said it. She's wrong. She just want to be old and black and feel a certain way on this. And you may want to join her, but you will never get to control the reality of the Black Guy Who Tips podcast. Absolutely the fuck not. Nope. You're just going to have to deal with them feelings. And it doesn't matter if you've been listening 10 years or you've been supporting. This ain't about you. If you want to internalize or personalize it, somebody does that every single day we do a show. There's somebody out there deciding that today is the day they went too far. And you know what? Fine. I can't control you. But you're not going to come up here and pretend like we're saying shit we didn't say.
Take care of your universal health care.
Back to the clip.
You know, didn't do these things. And you told this generation who, for a lot of them, depend on when they graduated from school, graduated in a fucking recession. So they graduated and they couldn't find a job, bitch. So what are you talking about?
Well, I agree with everything you just said. Also, I would add, millennials aren't children. So we're actually talking about adults now. And it reminds me of this book that I read, Poorly Understood, What America Gets Wrong About Poverty. And it's mostly almost like a textbook. It's just, but in a good way, in that they back up everything they say with data. And it's about the myths of poverty, and so many cultural myths are such confirmation bias. And it's not just conservatives, not just white people, black people. People buy into the myths when they feel like it. And anecdotally is what they go to. They because it's never evidence. It must be your attitude, you know? And in some ways I can understand what she's saying, because pragmatically I see, I am of Gen X, so pragmatic, you always gonna get me with the pragmatic shit. Cause I'm like, yeah, I can see what you're saying. And if your thing is, look, man, It's going to be hard for y'all. It ain't getting better. And if you want to do these things, it's just going to fuck you up. And you're going to have to deal with it being fucked up. And it was fucked up for us too. And they're right. It wasn't perfect. Does that sound, pausing again, does that sound like I'm being unfair to Whoopi? I'm starting off with a preamble of, hey, I see where you coming from. I'm Gen X too. There's times where I look at stuff and be like, yeah, but that ain't gonna happen, baby. So you're gonna have to figure a way out for yourself. Mm-hmm. I'm big on that. You know, I was just talking to a friend yesterday, and I don't know if am about to say this on the clip too, but we were talking about that thing from last week with the woman who wanted her job to like call and make sure her mental health was okay. And I'm like, I mean, sure, it would be nice to live in that world, but since we do not, I can't advise that you leave everything hanging on a job. I can't, because I would never advise a friend. I would never advise a loved one that you should do that, because I'm like, I don't trust your job. No one should trust their job. If they do it, good. But it's too much in the air with that stuff. So you have to be the one that's proactive to reach out to the resources available to you. So you're a SAG actor, you got health insurance because you got that job. You got one of the jobs. You're going to have to reach out to your own healthcare provider, and you're going to have to look into therapy, and you're going to have to look into psychiatrists. And you're going to, because the person, just because a person's good at being a director or a stage manager or some shit like that at a job, does not mean they're good at managing the mental health of people in their employ. Right. We don't even have the right training for that shit at a job. There are medical fields where you have to learn for years to be able to get the right thing for each type of person, because it's not a one answer fits all. Somebody else's "are you okay" is another person's "you're violating my boundary. I'm not at work. Leave me alone." So my point being, I do understand pragmatism. I do understand somebody like Whoopi being like, it was hard for us too. Oh, well. I do understand that. But that doesn't give us license. The same way there should be empathy for Whoopi and the plight of her generation. Mm-hmm. And there should be empathy for Gen X. And there should be empathy for Gen Z. I'm not going to sit up here and watch one person throw a generation under the bus and be like, well, I guess it's okay. She's older. Oh, well, nothing I can say. I don't play like that. Okay, back to the clip. Mm-hmm. You go back and look statistically, almost, I forget the exact numbers, but most people at some point experience poverty. Yes. Most of us have it when we're children. Now, think about, your parents may shield you from that, but think about what that means. If you experienced poverty when you were a child, that means when your parents chose to have you, it put them in the bracket of poverty. Right. Meaning having children is one of the biggest risk factors for poverty. Now, kids know more, younger people know more, adults our age know more. A lot of that's from the social media and the internet and all this stuff. A lot of that is from, the fact that we can educate ourselves more and stuff. But part of knowing more is that it affects your decisions. Mm-hmm. A lot of people have kids because they just didn't know how bad it could be, or that it would be too bad. And they're like, it'll work out somehow. Right. So hopefully the government safety nets do something. But when you have a society that has let conservatives win and cut the underpinnings of the social safety net via, conservative politics, you make people not want to have kids. And what do they do to offset that? They don't go, well, how can we help people with Planned Parenthood? How can we help people with government subsidies that feed families? No, they go, cut all that shit off and don't let them have abortions. That's their answer to making America have more kids. It's not, let's make it a place where having a child doesn't send you on a spiral to poverty. Right. It's, let's do, whatever. And the other, pause in the clip real quick. So when Whoopi used millennials aren't having children to then demagogue a whole generation of people as lazy, that's offensive. That's something that people will be mad at and should be mad at. People have children when they feel safe. Right now, nobody feels safe. in this country. And you can go into the reasons why they don't feel safe. I'm not throwing that all at the feet of Gen X and Gen
just people
and boomers and stuff. I'm not, but it's not our fault.
Right.
There's times when we fucked it off, when it was time to vote and we went, not for them.
Right.
Can't be bothered. It'll be all right. A lot of that is us.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't help when we lie on them and call them lazy and shit. It doesn't help, and we don't participate in that with our show. Back to the clip. Part of it is like I said, I can understand, and because we talked about this last week or a couple weeks ago with the woman who was like, why didn't my job come check on me and all this stuff? I do understand part of Whoopi's thing, which is like, life is fucked up and they're not coming to help you, so y'all gonna have to make a way. Once again, we unfair to Whoopi? Here's me from yesterday. I paused the clip just now. This is me from yesterday being like, I understand. Again, hey, I can see where she's coming from. Again, why did you write up here and lie to us? Why did you do that? Did you think you would fool us? Like we wouldn't remember what the fuck we said yesterday? You probably didn't think I'd be petty enough to replay it. That's fair. That's fair. It's probably not too many podcasts on the earth that's like, run it back then. But I'm that motherfucker. I'm that bitch. I will do that. Okay? I'm petty as fuck. Okay? I'm not calling you any names, but you're never going to be able to gaslight me because I have the recording. It's called a podcast. It's all right there. Right up here, next time you got to have some clips or something. You got to have some quotes. You got to prove to me these lies because I'm never going to let you lie to me out of some way, because
that's better
if
stated.
you've been waiting for America to give a fuck, they never will.
Agreed.
And I hate to rewind again, but let me rewind for a second because you hear what Karen agrees. So even Karen's like, yeah, staying part of Whoopi's thing, which is like, life is fucked up and they're not coming to help you, so y'all gonna have to make a way out of some way, because
that's better stated.
If you've been waiting for that's better stated, meaning, hey, I understand. Karen, you can say it for yourself. I'm assuming you were saying yesterday, I understand Whoopi's point if you frame it in this way, but not in the way where she just calls these motherfuckers lazy. Is that correct or no?
Yeah, and my thing is, if she would have made that statement, she wouldn't have got the outrage.
Right.
And I turn funny, she's selling a product too. She's on The View. They sell a product. And part of their product now with most shows is going viral and getting clicks. I'm not trying to be for like that. Like that's a part of it. Saying the most outlandish, saying the most thing to get the clicks and to go viral and to get more viewers, no matter if they're going to be temporarily there or not. You get more viewers, you get more sponsors, everybody makes more money.
All right, let's go back. America to give a fuck, they never will.
Agreed.
And you're America too, so you either gotta vote some people in and shit. If you feel like waiting on all that, you gotta go through that process. But you're not gonna be able to complain your way into them doing the right thing because they just don't.
Right.
But she didn't say that. She turned to a work ethic thing. And then the last thing I'll say before I, try to move on or whatever. Everybody does this. And I mean everybody. I saw this thing yesterday and I was thinking about it. It was this person that said, she tweeted something about how her father paid for his mom's mortgage. Now I'm about to go into this point from yesterday, of course, but I'm pausing the clip. You notice how I said everybody does this? I don't mean to act like I'm the smartest motherfucker in the world, but I feel like everyone listening should understand I just humanized Whoopi Goldberg. I didn't ostracize her. I didn't point her out for her age and go, look at you, na boo boo, you're old and you're different than me. No, I didn't. I said the opposite. I said everybody does this in their own way.
Yeah, in various different lanes.
Yes. Depending on the day and the topic, we will pathologize things we disagree with or we don't like, or to demagogue some generation or some other group. We will pathologize it. It happens all the time. No one's immune from it. Not me, not Karen, not you, Julie, and definitely not Whoopi. We all have these moments where we like, why the fuck is this group of people like that? Is it true that they're all like that? Maybe. But then we turn things into a willpower situation. Why don't they want to do better? Why don't they want to do differently? We don't fucking know for real. And if we went to investigate it statistically, we may find out a bunch of stuff. Our premises are fucked up and flawed. We're missing some information. We're assuming and stereotyping certain things that we don't know. I know what Whoopi said, and we kept this conversation to Whoopi. At no point did we be like, you know what? And it's all people over 65. They all feel this way. His wife and family's mortgage and half of her rent. And that's, that's what men do, right? And then, of course, everybody in the replies are like, yeah, these men ain't shit. These men don't do that no more, And I said, oh, isn't that interesting? Same argument as like Whoopi Goldberg. It's the same argument. These men just don't care. They obviously have enough money to do this. Fuck inflation, fuck employment, fuck any of that. Fuck the student loan stuff. When it comes to like men versus women or dating, people turn into some capitalistic assholes real fast. Every poverty myth, they believe it. It's just you don't want it bad enough. That's why you ain't got the money. You just don't want to have the money for a $200 date. It can't be that you don't have it or that, that's not reasonable or whatever. It's just and if you don't have the money, it reflects poorly on your class and sophistication and your education and all this stuff. So we all have these moments of like choosing to believe the anecdotal thing rather than look at the macro of like, look at all these trends. Look at everything we've lost as a country. Social safety nets. The fucking subprime lending grift that destroyed so much wealth in this country, which happened around 2008, Julie, which is in your email. You wrote about how you lost everything in 2008. Here I am bringing that up. If I was so fucking insensitive to folk, I wouldn't have brought that up. I'm trying to point out the similarities through every generation.
Yeah, and it's fucked up, particularly with 2008. A lot of people lost their home. Like a lot of people lost their homes. Yeah. So many people were upside down in their homes for decades. And
never got the true restitution that they deserved. The government got money and fines, but the people didn't. They were not made whole.
Ruin your credit and everything, and you would not be made whole on that.
And we were doing the podcast during some of the, some of that. We didn't start in 2008, but when it ballooned and all that stuff, we talked about some of that on the show. And I remember specifically being like, I don't like these podcasts and radio shows that keep making the point of, well, you knew that was too much house. You knew you shouldn't have got that house. You knew they shouldn't have gave you no loan. And it was like, actually, people don't know. And it was predatory lending, and it's not anecdotal, it's fucking macro. It happened to a lot of people, many of them black and brown people. You had lending companies that targeted these people to get them into these loans with these balloon payments so they could then fuck these people out of the money that they had, the little bit of money they had, put them in debt, resell the fucking house. And when that imploded, they got bailed out. They didn't go to jail for that shit. And so my point being, that's something that our generation and older had to deal with. Well, there's fallout and repercussions for that. But I wasn't with the bullshit when people were like, it's your fault. Dummy, why you ain't read the contract?
Nobody reads that paper unless you're a goddamn lawyer. When people sign them contracts, them things like 1,100 pages, you sign 11,000 spaces, you don't read it. That's stupid.
That's not the point, but yes, the point, even if you did read it. The point being, like, it wasn't as simple as that. They were grifting a generation of people.
Right.
And so what happened is older generations and people that just didn't understand mock the people that were the victims. And that's what I feel Whoopi Goldberg is doing when she's mocking people for like, you must not want to work hard if you don't have children at 40 or whatever. You must just not want it bad enough, millennials. I'm like, you're looking at the victim and mocking the victim and letting the grift that is America slide off scot-free. Me and Karen don't have kids.
Mm-mm.
We made that decision a long time ago, but we made that decision partially because it was like, I don't think financially we shouldn't be having no kids.
Not only that, we didn't buy a house because of that too.
We don't have a house.
Yeah, because I remember, y'all, particularly right before we did the podcast and before the big balloon, I would be listening to the radio. It would literally be everywhere. You know, this is kind of for podcast and shit blew up. And the shit just didn't sound right. I'd be riding in the car, and every time you would hear radio commercial, it'd be like, you can get a house now. Come here now. Here the keys. We got the house. And I thought to myself, I don't know shit about a house, but that shit don't sound right. It's normally a long process. It normally you can't.
Yeah, but honestly though, it's not like I don't even want to put it on some like we were just smart. We heard the ads and we didn't fall for it. It didn't sound right to us, but everybody else they got, y'all just didn't understand because that's what that is sounding like.
No, and the reason why I said it is because I listened to it and because at one period of time I was like, well, maybe we should do it. So I'm not quote unquote above it. We just didn't quote unquote pull that lever, but it does not mean we were above it.
I never felt safe enough to do it. And honestly, that's what a lot of these people are going through now. Mm-hmm. The millennial generation is going through it too. They're like, I don't feel safe enough. This is not a trend on one generation, by the way. Look back. You'll see Americans are having less and less kids for years now, decades now. Mm-hmm. So it ain't just millennials are the ones that are just, they too soft. No, this is, like I said, let's keep it facts. I don't care about the feelings. Let's keep it facts. You want to write up here with some facts, some numbers that prove that this generation is working 4 hours a day? You want to prove that to me? Sure, write up here and prove it to me. But if not, Whoopi just talking, and she be just talking sometimes. Mm-hmm. You know,
like
I know
that. I'll be just sometimes just talking.
Yeah, she just talking. It's fine, but she's wrong. All right, back to the clip. You know, the banks literally cheating on these loans and shit and getting penalties of paying the government money, but it didn't make these people right. It didn't
it didn't.
It didn't fix the credit of the communities they destroyed.
Right.
So it's that kind of stuff that doesn't get talked about when we don't feel like talking about it, but it counts for everything. It can't only count when you want it to count. And so right. I find, you know me, I'm always thinking a little tangential, a little outside the box. I connected those two things in my mind when I saw him. I said, oh, you sound like Whoopi. Yeah, the men just don't want it anymore. No, the men don't have what they had the same way you don't have what you would have had 30 years ago.
Mm-mm. And you're also talking about a generation now that's averaging less than their parents. Like, you know, and people aren't talking about that part either. You know, you're talking about a generation now where, like I said, they were promised if they go to school and do the right thing and get in this debt, they would get in a job. But you do the right thing and get a job and get out. And the jobs is like, no, bitch, you start at the bottom like everybody else, making, you know, less than $20 an hour. But I got a degree, and they go, fuck you and your degree. This is what we're paying you. And then you wonder why they're mad and they're upset.
1 in 4 U.S. medical students consider quitting. So we got it. That's the beginning of the next story, which was related, but I'm not going to play all that. I wanted to play the specific part that Julie wrote in about. Now, maybe this feels a little too petty, but I'm going to read it again because we just went through it all again. So let's go back to what she said. I really love your podcast and generally agree with most of what you. That's the title. I do have to say, enjoy your perspective. However, I often bristle at how easily it seems to be to attack people who are older, who make commentary on millennials or whomever they are. And make commentary on millennials is really you being so generous in a way you were not generous to us when you wrote up here. Because you said we attack people who are older, which we just played that whole clip. Ain't an attack in there. But Whoopi did attack millennials when she said they were just lazy. When she said they only work 4 hours a day. Now, why is that not an attack? Why is she making commentary, but me and Karen are attacking? I am working a full 60-hour-a-week job at the age of 65 because I have to because in 2008, everything I worked for was destroyed. And I'm still trying to, quote, build back better. How about everybody? Have a little empathy and realize that shit is hard for everybody out here. I thought that's what we were doing. I think we were showing empathy even for Whoopi, who we disagree with. Empathy does not give you a steamroller. That doesn't mean you get to take my empathy and say wrong things and be mean to people and I have to go, well, I have empathy for you, so it's okay. Empathy doesn't mean you get to write up to our show and lie and allege things we did not fucking say. Ain't that much empathy in the world, baby? Nope. We dealing in facts, and that's it. If it's not factual, keep it at the door. You want to write in with some quotes? We just played everything we said. I stand by everything we said yesterday. There wasn't a single thing in there where I'm like, yeah, we went a little too far with that. Yeah, I know boomers are assholes and entitled, et cetera, et cetera. I guess millennials are not. Things we never said. We never said.
And that's one reason why.
You notice how, I'm sorry, Ken. You notice how Whoopi called the millennials and all that shit. We never once in that entire thing went, and you know what? Actually, it's the boomers that are the assholes. We didn't do that because we don't do that because to me, it's not that just that people can't feel that way. We make a better show than the vast majority of people that do shows. They would have said that because they're not as good at doing shows as we are. They would have had so little nuance and just been like, whatever, boomer, shut up, boomer. They would have done that, and then they would have got their little jokes off about people being old and all this shit. We didn't do that because we're above that. We make a better brand of product than these motherfuckers that say shit like that, which is another reason this shit is offensive. Because the show you're describing is a show I wouldn't even want to be on, let alone do myself. My shit tighter than that. Our shit funnier than that. Our shit more poignant than that. Don't ever write up here with this bullshit. Come on, Julie. Oh, sorry, Ken. What were you saying?
I was going to say, because just listening to this, it sounds like things were said and you heard it in a way that we didn't say it. And now you're projecting internally things that are happening inside of you and writing our show. You know, people kind of stopped doing this, but one thing about it, particularly, and not that you do this, Julie, but particularly people that spend a lot of time online, they have a tendency to write up here and like act like we are the trolls and the robots and the hoteps they argue with online. They act like we say that shit and we didn't. And, you know, because they know that they quote unquote can't control those people. Those people aren't listening to this show. and we are not them. And we didn't pretend to be them. Now, if I said it and I fucked up and I did that, I would apologize. I am not above apologizing.
But here's the thing. We know you didn't say it because we just played it. Mm-hmm. So no, not even no hypotheticals. No, we dealing in facts only. We just played what we said yesterday. We didn't say none of this boomers are assholes and entitled shit. Not a single time.
And I have compassion for you having to work like that. Don't nobody want to work like that, honey.
Sorry that I had to do this, but it just really infuriates me. The lack of empathy towards people who are over the age of 55 is simply staggering to me. So I don't understand. The lack of empathy towards the millennials, fine, me and Karen shouldn't even have brought it up. If anything, we should have said, Whoopi Goldberg was right again. Right? That was fine. You ain't writing The View. You writing us. But us saying, hey, Whoopi, that's unfair, is a lack of empathy. That's crazy. Do not gaslight me. We did not say that shit.
We did not say that.
Come on, man. I try to be nice. I try to be nice. I'm one of the nicest people you're going to ever meet. But I do not play with my fucking reality, dog. Don't call up here, right up here saying we said some shit we did not say. Just because I'm not moved to anger often and try not to let it move me, don't mean I can't be mad at some shit. So don't try to make us mad with this bullshit. It appears that you want us all to just shut up or die, or possibly both. What the fuck are you talking about?
I mean, that was never said. That was never said at all.
How dare you? How dare you? We have never said no shit like that. What's wrong with you? And I know the way you're personalizing all this shit, you're going to take what I'm saying. There's a reasonable response to what you said, and you're going to act like your feelings matter more than mine, and you're hurt, and you're probably going to stop supporting the show or claim not to listen, because that's just what people do when this happens. But this really ain't a show for you. This is a show for every other motherfucker. This is a show for other podcasters that go through this. This is a show that people got to deal with parasocial relationships. This is a show for the other fans that think about writing in, so they go, oh yeah, I probably shouldn't just make shit up. The vast majority of our fans are A+. We do feedback show 4 fucking hours. And nobody in there had me hot, mad, nothing. Oh, someone else wrote in. Great. Another voicemail. No problem. But this bullshit, this low quality shit, we will not deal with. If you want to go right into a show that would say something like this, the vast majority of these other podcasts will talk just like this. Oh, Whoopi, you old bitch, shut the fuck up, you old ass. And you can write this letter. You can copy and paste this shit. Just switch out our names and you'll be fine. But we're still here, though. We're still working. We're still doing the things we need to do, and we are still trying to survive. Many of us at 65 are taking care of our parents who were in their 90s. A lot of fun. Trust me. Love the show. I've been supporting monthly for 10 years. Well, thank you, Julie, for your support. Mm-hmm. And I hate that this is the first time you ever wrote in to us, because this is patently ridiculous. And it would be nice to have at least known you in some other capacity before you wrote in and lied. Because now this is all I'm going to ever remember about you. Every time I see your name, I'll be like, oh, the woman that just lied on us. When I couldn't remember what the fuck was said yesterday. Like I couldn't just hit play again and just go, oh, that's not what was said. Come on, man. Don't waste our time. We won't waste your time. And now all these other people, they didn't get a podcast with new news and banner and shit. They just got an old podcast remix of us being like, we didn't say that shit. Remember that yesterday, y'all?
I'm about to say, I mean, we can banter if you want to banter.
No.
Nigga.
And I replied to her email, Julie, thank you for listening. But at no point did anyone on our show tell anyone to shut up and die. We didn't say a thing mean about older people. We said we thought Whoopi was wrong to paint with a broad brush about millennials. If you'd like to provide the direct quotes that offended you, please do that. Don't characterize us as having said something we did not say. And that's been the show today. All right. Thanks for listening, everybody. You know what it is. Contact, all that stuff is right there in the show notes. Mm-hmm. So if you want to leave us a voicemail, an email, I do ask that you keep it factual to something that we actually said in the show, because that's just the way we operate over here. I know we crazy like that over here at the Blackout Tips. We like to only do feedback for the things that we actually fucking said. Okay. And honestly, at the end of the day, I still do wish you the best, Julie, because that's an unfortunate situation. And I think your generation is dealing with that and in silence, because you feel like you need to tough it out and you feel like no one's going to have empathy for you, and that you should, and that you're going to get attacked because that's how the older generation has been attacking the younger generation. But I think you'll find something interesting with this younger crowd, right? Because when we talk about generations raising other generations and having to deal with, the people they raised and the value systems that they imparted upon them, we normally talk about the negatives, right? Mm-hmm. Oh, these kids think their feelings are so important. They think their feelings matter over everybody else's feelings. Fuck these kids. Who raised these kids? Us. They think they should get a participation trophy for everything. Why would they get a participation trophy? Everyone played the game. You're not special. We gave them to them, right?
Yes, we did.
But here's the thing that we don't talk about. Let's talk about some positives generationally. These kids are willing to hear your feelings and your plight way more than your peers were, way more than my generation was. These kids now understand. If you say, man, it's hard. I'm taking care of my mom. She's 95. I'm 65. I'm working 60 hours a week. They're a soft place to land.
Yes, they are.
This the generation of fucking raising GoFundMes for other people, marching in the street for countries they don't even live in and don't even really necessarily understand the full context of the history in, but they see some people are dying and they need to raise the word about, and they out in the streets marching for Palestine. just because they feel like it's the right thing to do.
Right.
Because they don't want to see that. Like, our generation was the generation for Gen X. I don't know, I can't say boomers, but for Gen X, we were definitely a generation that was told your feelings don't matter.
Yep.
What you do can matter, but you don't really matter. And I don't think any parent like sits you down and says that, but just the general tenor of our culture was, you're a kid. It don't matter. Just come home from work, let yourself in, defrost the chicken. Mom will be home soon, because our parents had to work, you know, both of them.
Mm-hmm.
And so I understand that, like, we have inner voices that are telling us some harsh things, but you'll find that those are mostly inner voices. And what these millennials and stuff are reacting to are things like what Whoopi said. That's why they got the okay boomer. Because you know what? Think about what the phrase okay boomer means. It's a response.
It is a response.
Okay boomer implies you have said something to me that is fucked up and out of touch. And my response to you is, okay, older person. Meaning, I didn't start shit with you. If you would have left me alone or said something nice,
left me alone,
it would have been fine. But here you are critiquing me in ways that are unfair and not valid. So this is my response to dismiss you.
Mm-hmm.
But you will find that it doesn't have to be that way.
Mm-mm.
If you write this same email without lying and just say, hey, I'm 65 and I'm going through this and it's tough for me too, and not all the boomers feel like she does, or not all the, you know, sometimes boomers do blame millennials for shit that they ain't got nothing to do with. We would have been like, yeah, I feel you, Julie. I have a lot of empathy for that.
Yes.
I had empathy for Whoopi, and she said the shit.
I do too.
The whole fucking episode yesterday. Well, she's my problematic fave. Hey, she said that, and I can't see where she's coming from, but you know, I wouldn't necessarily agree. Don't do this again. Let's not. And that goes for everybody. All right, until next time, I love you.
I love you too.
Mwah. Bye, everybody. Thanks for hanging out with us. Peace.